Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome back. Whether you're watching this, listening to it on your phone, however you're consuming the podcast, audio or video, appreciative of you being here. Back to maximize your Monday once again. New guests with me, an old friend of mine, Donnie, joining the show here. Thanks so much for jumping on here, taking some time out of your day to chat with me about what you do and not just how you made it to where you are, but how you try to provide guidance to other people looking to form their own paths as well.
Thanks, Matt. Good to be on with you.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So if you watch the show, you know we start off just kind of breaking down what we got going on for the week ahead. So big week for me here with the company. We've started to get more involved in campus recruiting, college recruiting. So this week I'm actually going to be at Northern Kentucky doing a campus recruiting event. So really looking forward to that. Just kind of meeting hopefully some future colleagues of mine as I discuss the open positions that we have, internships or otherwise, and just kind of talk to prospective students about what they can do, how Novalex can kind of assist them in their career path. So really looking forward to kind of making that a part of my job as we move forward here and kind of discussing what we do and how we can kind of align with career goals of college juniors, seniors, freshmen, whoever's there. Welcome to stop by the table and looking forward to meet everyone. So that's kind of what's motivating me and my goal for the week. But in terms of other stuff that I have going on as we continue to make this a priority, just looking at other campuses that we can visit in the near future to just kind of make that come to fruition and be more involved in campus recruiting. So if you're looking for someone to come and speak, I'm more than willing to do that as well. So goals, motivators, all kind of wrapped up into one with that. And so in terms of last week, some wins that we had going forward as we start the internship program here, I've already gotten two fulfilled. So looking forward to having some more interns join the company here in the coming weeks. So that's what's going on my end. Donnie, what's going on in your world this week?
I am navigating the home buying process in a crazy market. Been looking for about 18 months now. Started, a little after the COVID years, which wasn't the greatest time to jump in, but
Right.
yeah, yeah, just looking every day, every week, trying to find something that works for my wife and I.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's crazy out there, that market. So it was crazy 5 years ago, and it looks like it's not going to stop being crazy like anytime soon. So I
Yeah, I mean, inventory's still pretty low. Prices are high. I mean, it's kind of a perfect storm of high interest rates. The prices of houses aren't going down, and owners just don't want to sell. They don't want to trade their 2% rate for a 7. So you can't blame them, but it makes it a little more difficult for, buyers.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely does. So you and I have known each other for some time now, but in terms of your professional goals, you and I haven't really kind of talked about that too much and what really led you down to where you are. So you're working currently as a senior academic advisor. So what kind of drew you to that as you were going through college and deciding what you wanted to do for yourself? What kind of stood out to you as, this kind of aligns with where I want to be and what I want to do? Was it someone that kind of helped you out as a college advisor themselves, or was it something else that drew you to it?
Well, I kind of had an interesting path. Graduated high school 2001, just took a year off, lived in Philadelphia, and just worked for a year. Then I went to a 2-year culinary program near Atlantic City. Got an associate's in culinary arts. I thought, that was the industry that I wanted to be in. I learned fairly quickly that, that's a grind of an industry every Friday, Saturday, every holiday. I shifted gears. I went to a 4-year school. I was majoring in education. My ideal goal would be to teach high school and coach football. Um, and I went through a 5-year bachelor master's program, graduated. Um, that next year, I did a Peace Corps process. I applied to go to the Peace Corps. That was a year-long process. The next summer, I was getting my papers in order to be shipped to South Africa for 2 years, but I had so much student loan debt, and as some of you may or may not know, the Peace Corps doesn't really provide a whole lot of revenue for you. So I shifted gears. It was late in the summer to get a teaching job, so I applied for an admissions position in higher education. It was for a private for-profit career college. I worked there for 2 or 3 years. Um, and I really liked higher ed, but I wanted to shift more to the academic side. Um, so I got a job at community college in New Jersey, worked for about a year and a half as that was my first advising experience. And now I've been at Thomas Edison State University in New Jersey for about 11 years now. So no, I didn't see myself in higher ed when I first started my educational journey.
Yeah.
Um, I feel that's true for a lot of folks that get training or go to school for, a certain career and don't end up in that career. But I love my job. I love what I do. I don't have to do the lesson planning of
Right.
of a high school teachers, so that's pretty enjoyable. But no, we work mostly with adult students, so I help students, pick majors, course selection, some career advice. So it's really rewarding to work with students that, have been working on a degree for maybe 15, 20 years, just never finished. They come back and can finally accomplish that educational goal.
Right. Right, gotcha. So I have a pretty deep network of educators who are looking to transition into something new, and I know for some of them they still want to have their finger on the pulse of education, and some of them do look into it, career development and academic advising as an opportunity. So for you, what were some of those things as you went through the coursework and getting your certificate, preparing to be a high school teacher that you saw that you could easily transfer over and still be successful while still keeping in that path of education?
Sure. I mean, my teacher prep program, I mean, understanding curricula was a huge part of my understanding of not just secondary education, but higher education curricula in general.
Mhm.
So I think having a firm knowledge base on how courses are structured, how degree programs are put together, really aided me in furthering in making that transition between admissions and the academic side. I
Mhm.
mean, admissions is great. Every school needs admissions. I didn't necessarily like the sales kind of aspect of it.
Right.
I would found, especially, I was working for a for-profit institution, so it was, enroll, enroll, enroll. Even if I, interviewed with students and felt that we weren't the greatest, um, school for them, I would be responsible for trying to enroll them, which uh, in some cases it didn't really work out, hence why I don't work at that school anymore. And I moved on to bigger and better things. But I think understanding like I said, understanding curricula was probably the most helpful piece of that, but also just understanding how certain educational paths can match well with certain careers.
Mhm. So what did that research process look like for you when you were looking at those opportunities? Because a lot of people are in that position that you alluded to, wanting to do the Peace Corps, but having the debt and not necessarily being able to do that. And a lot of people looking to transition into something new right now can't
Mhm.
necessarily go back to school and get that other degree. So with that process in mind for you as, I need to start something and I can't really dive into something completely different again, how
Mhm.
did you eventually just kind of land on that as stuck out to you as, okay, yeah, this aligns with still being where I want to be?
Yeah, sure. Like I said, I mean the admissions, the early part of my higher ed career, the admissions piece of it was, I mean, it was fulfilling that, these students, prospective students were seeking an education in XYZ, fields. And, that was, I really enjoyed helping them taking that first step into getting uh, the pressure of the putting pressure on the students to enroll when maybe they're not ready. I think we all need a little bit of push here and there.
Mhm.
Um, but when you are evaluated based on sheerly based on the number of students you enroll, um, it kind of took away from uh, the essence of what education should be,
Sure.
and helping students achieve those goals. Um, I found getting into the public sector of education is much more freeing. And the academic side, uh, they already made the choice to, come to school here. So, now my responsibility is to guide them in developing their degree plans and achieving their educational goals at a larger scale. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to say it fell in my lap, but it kind of once I got into higher ed in the public sector, I knew I wasn't turning back.
Okay.
Um, the flexibility of my job is pretty great. It's a state university, so it's you get you're basically a state employee, so there's a lot of benefits that go along with that.
Mhm.
And that just the nature of my job. I love helping students, especially the adult students, achieve their goals that they've been trying to achieve for decades.
Yeah. So what does that process look like then? It's, someone who is constantly giving that advice and helping people find the path that they want to be on. Now you're in a position where you're not saying, just do this because I need you to, but you can kind of walk them through and, what do you want to do and how can I help you get there type of thing. So what does that overall process look like for you in terms of pulling that information out from them to fully understand where they want to be so you can help them get on that path?
Sure. So I typically take a stance with students. I mean, we have some students that are in a career, that just need a degree, any degree, it doesn't matter what it's in. There's folks that are, mid-career transitioning into another industry. Um, I always start with asking students, where they've been, where they're at now, and where they want to go.
Mhm.
Where they've been is, experiences that they've had, education that they've started, things that they've done in their past to kind of, build their resume or, skills that they possess. Where they're at now, where assessing, what they're doing now in their career, their personal life, um, how fulfilling, their current positions are. And then where they're going is obviously looking ahead to the future. Where are you at now, and what changes would you like to see? Maybe it's a drastic change, a totally new industry. Maybe it's just getting some promotion within your current organization. So that kind of helps me gauge, how best to formulate their degree path. They might have one thing in mind after, consideration. They might totally shift directions. So
Mhm.
it is very individualistic. I take more not so much a prescriptive, and you see this, with some schools, especially younger students, advisors say, hey, you take this and this. um, Whereas, working with adult students, you can have, a broader conversation as far as, okay, what skills are you trying to develop? And then here's the curriculum. Obviously, the degree curriculum is the degree curriculum. So, but how can we incorporate maybe some new learning within that curriculum, maybe some creative learning, maybe some skills that, aren't necessarily going to help you in your career, but might help you as a hobby, or maybe just you want to learn more about a specific subject. So all that kind of plays into, what I do on a daily basis. Um, Now, as far as students developing their plans, I mean, really, part of my job is, to understand, industry trends, in demand career fields. Some career fields, really doesn't matter what degree you have in, as long as you have relevant experience. Other fields like computer science, IT, require more specialized training. So, but there's also even a shift in that where, possibly college degrees might not have as much weight as it did, maybe 10, 20 years ago,
Mhm.
especially in the IT field, because a lot of IT, companies are developing their own training programs. So sometimes they would rather have new hires, with a blank slate, and they can teach them the way they want things to be done. So
Yeah.
Yeah, all that kind of plays into, my approach in advising students, as well as, getting them to think about some of these more holistic approaches to building their education plan.
Gotcha. So now one of the questions that I get a lot, and I'm sure that you get this too, working with the adult students, a lot of the times that they've been doing something for so long, they've been preparing for that, beyond that, and then they get the imposter syndrome, can I really do this? Am I going to be able to succeed in something new? All I've ever done is X. How am I going to transition into Y? So for you having that unique perspective, because you have transitioned to, from culinary into education and then into higher education, is that something that you've been able to use to encourage them to go on the same path and try to help them get past that self-doubt that they're fighting?
Yeah, sure. Number one thing is ensuring them that a lot of skills in a lot of different areas are transferable to other industries.
Mhm.
That's probably one of the key components is, hey, yeah, you may have computer skills or organizational skills in this specific field, but if you think outside the box a little bit, you could use those same skills to be successful in a parallel industry. So, yeah, certainly, that can be, if you've been in a career for 20 years and you're shifting gears, that can be, it seem like a daunting task. But again, and part of it is how you sell yourself as well. Resumes are crucial now. Because most job applications are going through digital software
Mhm.
before a human even looks at it. So, if you don't have the right skills to develop your resume, to have the keywords in your resume that are in the job description, a human's probably not even going to look at your application. So, yeah, I think that transferable skills thing, and it's not really something a lot of people think about until you talk through
Yeah.
with them, and they're like, "Oh, well, yeah." I mean, I can definitely see how that transitions into, this new career.
Yeah, definitely. Now, as an academic advisor, I know that, your job title isn't resume writer or career coach. So, how much do you really do when it comes to that in terms of helping them get the tools that they need to give that resume a revamp to make sure it's highlighting the appropriate skills? What is your involvement if someone says to you, I have an interview now that I'm pursuing this degree, what's usually your take on that in terms of advising them, either yourself or pointing them in the right direction to get the preparation they need?
Sure, yeah. So I would say mainly my job focuses on, choosing a degree, creative ways to complete degrees.
Mhm.
Um, and we taught it's as far as the career advice or interviewing skills, I really give resources for that. More so than I just give the information directly myself. That's not necessarily while part of my role is to guide students and develop how they think about career changes or the careers that they're currently in, how to progress in that career. Most colleges and universities do have career development offices that would help more so with the intro parts of resume writing and interview skills and job search skills, things like that. So yeah, I mean there's an element that I touch on with my students, but a lot of it is more providing, additional resources, um, to look at potential careers, job growth outlooks. The Bureau of Labor Statistics has a job outlook handbook that they put out. You can keyword search by industry, and it'll tell you, projected growth or declines in any specific field for the next 10 years. So those, it's really, I take a philosophy of providing students and helping them build their toolbox. Uh,
Okay.
it's not prescriptive that I just tell you do this, do that. It's how to do it, and understanding the whys, especially with selecting classes. Listen, you have to take a free elective. Um, it can literally be in any subject. You might as well take something that you're interested in or something that you want to develop new skills in. I could tell you, take XYZ course, but that's not helpful. It's your education. It's your educational journey. So I will provide the tools for you to make the, most informed decisions that will meet your personal and educational and career goals.
Yeah, perfect. So last question then before I get you out of here is the same question I ask anyone who jumps on here with me, and that's the advice portion. And for someone who's in a position where you're advising constantly, what is that piece of advice that you either usually give to the students when they're kind of looking at their path and determining what they want to do, or a piece of advice that you received kind of along your way that was really beneficial for you since you made a few changes along the way?
Yeah, sure. I think with educational decisions, and this could stem from recent, high school students that are, are in 10th grade when they're starting their college search, to adult students is sh do shadowing programs. If you're interested in pick three fields that you might be interested in. Take the next 6 months, 3 months, whatever, contact people either, in your social network, um, or just pick up the phone and call a company. Say, hey, I'm XYZ. I'm a, junior in high school, or hey, I'm looking for, a career change. I'm an adult student. I just wanted to pick your brain as far as, let's say accounting.
Mhm.
Some students might say, hey, I'm good at math. I want to be an accountant. They don't necessarily realize what the day-to-day life of an accountant looks like.
Right.
If you say I want to be an accountant, but I want to, be outdoors and, that kind of thing, those two careers, those two desires don't necessarily match up. So, yeah, I mean, for any the high school students listening, even college students, as we know, college students change their majors quite a bit. That can really have an impact on graduation timeline and the money you spend in college. So, really get out there, network with people, talk to people in the career fields that you're considering. That is the best way to understand, not only what that person does on a daily basis, but what the growth outcomes look like, what specific credentials you're going to need to get into those fields. And you can find those on job boards as well, monster.com, indeed.com. Hey, if you're looking, to be, a drug and alcohol counselor, go to these job boards, look up drug and alcohol counselor in my area, start looking at the job descriptions. They'll tell you, what skill sets you need, what educational credentials you need, any professional licenses or certifications. So that's something, this career exploration piece is something that I think is missing from our educational system. And it should start, in high school. Now, even, I mean, I feel kids should be kids. We should allow kids to be kids. But I think you can start early on, maybe ninth grade, with thinking about different careers. And every summer, just shadow a new career. I really think that's the best way to approach, um, what am I going to be doing for the rest of my life? Because
Mhm.
our current system, we kind of expect students, one day they have to raise their hand to go to the bathroom, and then the next day they have to, make the most important decision of their life of what they're going to do for a job for the rest of their life. And it's not sustainable. And honestly, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean that would be my biggest piece of advice for folks that are either thinking about, going to school at a young age, or, mid-level career changes, that sort of thing. Research the industries, talk to people in those industries. That's going to be a wealth of information.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Donnie, I'm very appreciative of you taking the time again. If you're not connected with Donnie on LinkedIn, feel free to do that. Otherwise, we appreciate you taking some time to listen, watch, and we will see you next Monday.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.